You hadn't been very visible in politics until now.
Well, I mean, when you say visible in politics, during the pro-democracy movement, that was a particular kind of activist politics. Then when civilian politics entered into it, especially when Dr. Fayemi became involved in his quest to become governor of the state in 2006, 2007. So I started to be active in politics without offering myself as a candidate in any elective politics. In his first administration, I actually came in as the pioneer Director General of this office that I'm in now. But it was soon after then that the Vice-Chancellorship of Otuoke came up, which I took from 2011 to 2016. So I was in Nigeria during that period, and I mean, I was involved in politics to the extent that being a Vice-Chancellor of a university could allow you. But when he now came up with a second term, and I took a position as special advisor and Director General of the Office of Transformation. Now, whether that was considered being in politics or being a technocrat in government is another matter. Yeah. But yes, I believe that once you are in government, you're playing politics. But Nigerians always think that it's when you offer yourself for elective position, and when you move around with known politicians, that is those who take politics as a career, that's when you're a politician. And I don't believe that. I believe that those who are directly involved in ensuring that people are led and are actively involved in deciding those who are led, they are in politics.
Well, Obasanjo once said that people can advise him, but he's not bound to take their advice. You probably will have come across such situations too.
No, I mean, yeah, if you're an advisor, you are not elected. So it is the person who is elected who, at the end of the day, is accountable. He is the one who made certain promises. He is the one who offered himself to be voted for up and down. You, as an advisor, you are not. You cannot run faster than the person who appointed you into office. So, and once you understand that reality, you'll know your limits. Yeah. So how much advice you give to a governor and how much it takes.
But such an advisor is likely to be saddened by such turning down of quality advice.
No, when you advise, you try not to make it look as if you are the only one given that one advice. Clearly, you are advising, and there are a number of people who have the same kind of advice you are giving to the person. So that if he doesn't take your advice, you don't take it personal. Okay? You don't take it personal. And somebody else's advice, the governor who you're advising, may, at this point in time, prefer that advice because of many things that you yourself do not know. I mean, presumably the governor sees a broader view of issues than you, an advisor. That's why he's governor. I mean, I will go and advise him based on what I know. Somebody else will go and advise him based on what that person knows. He probably knows more than any one of us. So he will base his final decision on the totality of what he knows, his personal convictions, political issues, and so on. Now, an advice not taken, the decision of the governor or whoever is taking advice should be robust enough such that if he has refused your advice, but he has taken note of it, and he starts to follow the advice of another person, if that advice becomes not good, or he should be able to return to your advice, okay? The one never likes a situation where the decision to be made is a life and death decision, in which if he takes your advice, it is life. If he doesn't take your advice, it is death. You know, it should be between life and life. And that if he now sees that the advice you give is not good, the advice you gave, he did not take it, now he took another person's advice, and then starts to act on that advice, and he sees something is wrong, and he says, he gave me this advice before, he can return to you. You don't have to gloat about it. You don't have to say, Shebi, I told you. You know, you have to be able to understand that an advice given it should be robust enough that he can recover from it, whether he takes it or not. Now, if every advice you give is turned down, then you know that he doesn't have confidence in you. Or if after some time he doesn't even ask for your advice at all. You understand, you know? If the totality of your advice, 80% of the time, 90% of the time he takes it, or he actually tells you why he has taken this advice and not that advice, that means he respects you. So if he does not take your advice and he does not tell you, and he returns down 90% of your advice, then you know it's time for you to leave. He may not be brave enough to ask you to leave, but if every advice you give him he doesn't take, or he doesn't even ask for your advice at all, doesn't saddle you with any responsibility, then you know that it is probably time for you to leave.
In the event of failure by a principal, can an advisor be excluded from blame?
No. Publicly, no advisor should state that it was my principal who failed.
We both.
All of us, collective responsibility requires that we accept that responsibility collectively. We accept that responsibility. So it is just it looks treacherous if publicly you say, most often, and so on, it should not happen. But there's no doubt that we are all human beings. Privately, you can express your views to those who ask, that I would not have done this. I said this, and I would never say that I've not said that. There are things that government has done. Actually, when I even say publicly, if it's a matter of conscience, and I have done that probably even in this administration, if it is a matter of conscience, you should be able to state your views and then allow the principal to make his decision as to whether that view is so treacherous that he can't work with you again, or he feels that, well, there must have been a good reason why you stated that publicly, so that you can be on record, so that this thing that you're doing, again, it's an issue of something, a matter of life and death. If it is something so serious that you feel that the world needs to know that Bonshin law, a crash will occur, and you want the world to know that you stated something. So if it's a matter of conscience, but that should not be all the time.
Would you want to avail us of some of these aspects that you had, spoken about?
No. It's not been many. We've had a very good administration. So you knew during the period of, it was more of party issue more than government, where I just felt that the way the party announced So it was not so much about government that as much as party. I've not had any reason to oppose any, because we've run a good democratic cabinet. I mean, our cabinet meetings never discuss party issues. In fact, the governor, sometimes they believe that's not true, but the governor never allowed us to discuss party issues. It was just government issues. There's a law that comes on, there's a project that comes on, we discuss them, and the person who's supposed to present them puts it in the memo of the cabinet. We have it a day or 2 or 3 days before the cabinet, we discuss them, we pass them and we go. There are times when we disagree, there are times when the memo is stepped down and you come back to it. Sometimes you are not happy when the memo is stepped down, but you come back. And and the governor permitted a lot of discussion.
The emergence of the APC governorship candidate in this 2022 election is what was roundly criticized. And out of maybe 8 or something, and you have 7 people, or out of 7 you have about 6 who really fought to the process. And I think that is the issue you also...
Yeah. I mean...
on grouse.
No, well, first, let me be on record that I'm happy that the candidate, the deputy-elect, Mr. Oyebanji, is our deputy-elect. He will make a good governor, and I pray for his success. So let's just put that on the ground. But like all contestations, if it's a contestation, it means that there are 2 people trying to get something. And the first grouse was the issue of Southern agenda, that we felt that it was from the South. I'm from the South. So that was something we first wanted to put on the table.
And you supported that?
Yes, and I supported that. I continue to support that.
Tomorrow.
Continue to support that, just as in the nation. I mean, So what's good for the goose is good for the gander. But we have a governor now. So that is and we will fully support him. But we still put on the table, okay, that there's the Southern agenda. So that's number 1. Number 2 was my issue that we must separate government from party, from candidate. And when these issues began, I did not see that clear separation. It looked as if the government of the day was putting forward a candidate for the party, and that if you did not support that candidate, it looked as if you were against the government. If you did not support that candidate, it looked as if you were against the party, when in fact the primaries of the party had not been done. Okay, so that was a purely philosophical, which I stated, okay, but it was not in annoyance, it was just simply stated. And when the issues came around and there were difficulties and people were angry and there was a need for reconciliation, I was put on the reconciliation committee. So we went around trying to, even though I was aggrieved, an aggrieved person became a person who was trying to, because the larger picture, this state needed to have continuity for the first time in our several years. And I knew, again, when I talk about life and death, it was an existential issue. I could not imagine a situation where, again, we have a new government that is so oppositional to our government. We have so many good things going on that I did not want a situation where a new party or a new set of people will come and start to say, this is something wrong, this is something, when we knew that we are putting in our best. So I had to look at the bigger picture, and Ba is a good guy. He's a good candidate. He'll have to make his own mark. You know, he'll have to make his own mark and ensure that his 6-point agenda, okay, there is no, even if Fayemi's son were succeeding him, he will still have some differences in how he carries out his agenda. So he has to make his own mark, choose his own team, and move forward.
People of the Fountain.